What's up, my RIV family?
Hey.
All right, welcome to the 4th installment or episode of Rally in the Valley Talks with Oscar and John. We're excited to do that deep dive this week, as we said last week, on some of the games that will be returning, and we'll talk later about some of the things that have changed for the 24-25 season.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting this year, so coming up.
Yeah, so let's start off with a game that I want to say really started it, right? Really was the OG original game, kind of brought out the competition and everyone, and has really been a fan favorite since day one.
Since day one,
and
absolutely.
I mean, it's a game that goes back for centuries.
Goes back that way,
what I mean? Maybe not with robots, but definitely with people. So let's talk sumo, Oscar.
Talk sumo. Well, sumo is one of my favorites. I mean, that's my little bread and butter that I like. And you're right. It's actually one that really brought out the rally and just brought out the robotics competition. If you're not familiar with sumo, it's 3 events or three chances, 3 rounds, and they start out in different positions on the mat. And the robots can be either your EV3 robot, your Vex robot, or even now with the Spike Prime, and you compete against that robot for that competition. Now, you can make it as big as you want, up to 10 inches for the Spike and the EV3,
right?
And then up to 15 inches with the
Vex IQ.
The Vex IQ. Great event. Again, the first one starts out where the robots are back to back, and then it's usually set off by the team starting their program either on their iPad, their
devices, either
whatever
Chromebooks, laptop, whatever,
or even actually on the actual brick itself.
Some
right?
kids have programmed the brick files in there.
So an exciting one. Now, people don't get that. A lot of times, students just do one program, and that doesn't always work. I mean, I'll tell you right now, the teams that usually the ones that are successful, they'll try to have at least 3 programs, if not even 4 different programs for sumo.
For those of you that are watching us on the YouTube channel, you'll notice here on the mat that's on the screen, you'll see the border, the white border.
Yeah.
That is what basically kids program to keep their robot inside, right?
Right.
So if you only have one program and your placement changes, it makes the game a little tricky to win.
Right. So when you try to get your students or your opponents or your teams, you want to make sure that they're putting their programs to each of the different positions. And I'll tell you that right now, that's what's usually what the students or the teams that end up going far.
And Oscar, what are those 3 positions?
There you got back-to-back,
Okay.
you got side-to-side,
Okay.
and then we call the last one sudden death.
Sudden death.
And the reason we call it sudden death is because it's put on the outskirt of that mat, close to the white.
The
and
edge.
Right to the edge. And a lot of times those teams end up having to use their back-to-back program, and they put it with that sudden death one, and they usually have their robot do a quick turn, and it's off the mat.
Oscar, let's not give people tips as
we
we have coaches watching.
Right. But I mean, every year you want your students or the teams to come up with something different
and improve on it. Yeah.
Right. So that is sumo in a nutshell, in a sense.
Right. To add on to that, there will be some changes for the 24-25 season that have never been implemented before. That is to be announced, not today.
Where we're still prototyping and testing stuff out, but as soon as we find out, we will definitely let you guys know. So we're tweaking with whether the field's going to change or the piece. We don't know yet, but we just kind of want to give you an idea that.
And logistics-wise, it is a circle. The border, I want to say, is about 2 inches.
Yeah, it's about 2-inch border.
2-inch thick white. The students participating will need to use a color sensor.
Right.
And for those of you that are new to this or getting into it, the color sensor is used to either detect specific colors,
right,
or to detect reflected light intensity.
Right.
So if we go into looking at it from that angle, I recommend reflected light intensity.
Yes.
But some coaches do use the color sensor, and they teach their kids to code whether to see black or white. And it works. I mean, it does work.
Either way.
But I just find that it's more accurate for when I compete to use the reflected light intensity. And in the game, that's one of the main things, if I had to say, that you have to add to your robot for you to be able to really succeed in sumo, is you need to teach your kids how to use that color sensor.
Right. And I mean, if you want to make it go to the next level to really have them do really well in that event, then you have them use the distance sensor so they can actually see robots coming at them.
Oh, the
so
ultrasonic?
The ultrasonic, yeah. So you can do that too. So if you can kick in the combo of both of those sensors.
Oscar likes to give tips. I don't give tips.
Well,
I'll give you guys the basics.
I'm letting you guys know that there's different pieces in there that you guys can actually use.
Absolutely. And how far you level up your student's game is up to you.
Yeah,
I mean, honestly, I think the rules used to read no flamethrowers.
Yeah, no more flamethrowers.
But as far as what comes in your kit and what comes in your box, it's all good. It's all good in game as long as you stay within that parameter size. So, yeah, pretty much sumo is what it sounds like. It's a sumo match. And the students have to push it out the other opponent or flip the opponent, making it undrivable.
Right.
So...
Exactly. So we'll look forward to what comes out for 24-25.
Yeah.
So
Stay
we're excited
tuned.
to see. We had a couple this year, a couple that flipped the robot.
Oh, yes.
One flipped one, and then actually one who was small and it was mighty was able to push a bigger robot out. So, sometimes people worry about, do I have all these extra pieces on? A lot of times you keep it low profile. It works.
It works.
It works.
Okay, so let's deep dive our next game. The next game we're going to talk about today is a game that is coming back. So all the games that we're going to mention today will be in the 24-25 season. It's just a matter of the rules slightly changing. For
Not
the new
very
year.
much.
There's just going to be variants to keep the kids on their toes. And we'll deep dive that with coaches and things like that. And at the end of the season, we'll discuss and we'll go over what the changes were.
Right.
Color Run. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
If you look on the screen, if you're watching us and not hearing us, you can see what the mat looks like. There's 3 colors, circles on the what I would consider the bottom side, and towards the top of the mat there are 4 rectangles or squares. They're more square-like.
3.
Oh, sorry. Why did I say 4? 3
yes.
squares and 3 circles, each either red, yellow, or blue. And they're offset from each other. The colors are offset from each other. So your robot last year's mission was to get what we call a cubert here. And it is made, what were the dimensions of the cubert?
It was 8 2x4 Lego bricks.
And that would compile a cubert for you. So it can be made like that. And your robot's mission was to collect the cuberts and drop them in the correct space or circle matching that color. Right. Pretty straightforward. Program your robot to collect the cubert of its choice and then bring back the cubert to the proper destination.
Right. For
next season or season coming up, there will be some changes to that rules. We'll tell you guys more in depth at a training, but for now, that essentially is the game. There's a few rules where if the robot was to drop the cubert and not make it to its destination, that cubert is out of the game and the students would go again and attempt a different color. Some students, though, got all 3 in one go.
Right.
So that's allowed. If you can collect all 3 cuberts and get them all dropped in the right place, by more power to you. That is a really great strategy for some teams.
And hard too.
And it's difficult to do, so it's very impressive that they were able to pull that off.
Right.
Do you feel like I'm missing anything? No, I think that's the gist of it for Color Run. If your robot passed the section of the map where the robot head is zoomed in, our Rally in the Valley logo, if it had the wheels past that, you were allowed to grab your robot without penalty. But if you try to grab your robot anywhere past that robo head towards the 3 rectangles or squares, you would get a penalty for grabbing the robot.
Right, and talking about for next year too, some of the ideas is about actually getting more accurate on where they're dropping off the cuber.
Yes.
So that's going to be more details.
Yes. So next year, well, since we're spilling beans here, next year the color run does have a center circle on the circle side that is a little bit tighter in diameter. Well, a lot tighter in diameter. So we'll be incorporating accuracy. Where this year the students just needed to make it to the larger circle,
right.
the larger base. They will need to make it more in the center, or actually they need to get it in the center
to collect more points.
Right. So that is that's all I'm giving you guys. That is one of the new rule variations for this coming season.
Yeah, but stay tuned for that. Get more information.
You'll get more information. There'll be a few more rule changes and updates. Yeah, that's color run. And guys, just a quick reminder before we get into the next few games. If you have any questions, pop them in the chat.
Right.
Pop them in the chat. We're going to be looking at the chats. We're going to be responding through the chats. And we'll be sure to get you guys all the information you need. And then if you need more than that, we'll discuss ways at the end of this video on how to get all the information you need.
Right.
All right, this takes us into
the
new fan favorite.
Oh, man.
This game was a hit this year. It's probably going to be one of the games that's going to get the most rule alterations. The soccer game, which was the soccer kickoff, was what we ended up calling it.
The soccer penalty kick.
Soccer penalty kick.
Shootout.
The shootout. Oh, that's what it was. It was
Shootout,
soccer shootout. Sorry, the exact name. Sometimes my mind
it's all right. I mean,
escapes me.
We have a lot of games coming up, and that's why we're a little.
The soccer shootout was a game where students had to place their robot, specifically in a gridded area,
right,
and then make their robot get to one of the 3 soccer balls and essentially hit the soccer balls into the goal without their robot passing, as you see on the if you're watching YouTube here, on the mat. The entire field is gridded out, kind of like a football field, right? Like a yard line is what you would call it.
Yes.
I'm not really a sports person. So it would be one of the yard lines, in this case number 4.
Right.
And those wheels cannot go past number 4, preventing students from just taking their robot and dragging the ball in.
Carrying it right into the goal.
Exactly.
Right.
So objective, get the 3 balls into the goal as quickly as possible.
That was it.
And if they were able to accomplish that, then they were golden. They would get their fastest time and they had a chance at the gold.
Right, and as long as if they hit all 3 of them at once and made them, that we saw that this year happen, where the kids, but once you make an attempt, that's it.
Yeah. No, this is sudden death, as they call it.
Yes, once you touch the soccer ball, that's
your attempt.
That's your attempt. So we had some very creative builds this year.
We had some tears too, man. And let's just take a second for that real quick. There were teams that were ready to go.
Right.
But placement. If there's anything that you can take away from any of these videos when we talk about the games and the events, if you're a coach watching this,
yes,
train your team on placement.
That is the key. I mean, we had teams show up with excellent programs, and they didn't take their time to place it. They got excited, and they didn't really, make sure it was in the right spot. And
that placement of a half inch
to a quarter of an inch, it can change your whole way your program is set up.
Can end your game.
Yes.
So always, and if there's students watching, placement is key.
Placement for everything.
But for everything, yeah.
Even in sumo,
placement is key.
Color run. Placement is key because that also has a grid
color
system.
Run is very
going back to that, and then also with soccer, there's a grid there, and the grids are there for a reason, for you to use as your marker for placement.
Yep. So and you'll see that's the one thing that I think transpires throughout all the mats.
Right.
Is that there's grids for placement, or there's points on your mats where you can really figure out this is accurate placement for my robot.
Right. Absolutely. And then I think that's everything.
That's everything for soccer.
Yeah, and then now
the
new one.
Oh yes.
Their new one was Moon Rock this year,
which was Vex exclusive this year.
Right, this year. Oh, you see how he said that?
Oh.
This year. He's already hinting, guys.
I'm hinting,
so.
but that's all I'm gonna say. Or should we tell him?
No. We'll put some more info in that. But as John said, it was an exclusive this year because we wanted to invite more schools who had Vex robots to bring them
participate
in this competition and have their own exclusive game. If you're not familiar, this is the Vex brick, okay, and then it's usually controlled the Vex controller.
Yes.
So with the Moon Rock, the objective was again the grid system. The robot was placed on a particular spot on the grid, and then their job was to collect 10 one by one wooden cubes, and then take them to a basket. Remember, drop a basket and drop them off into the basket. Job was just to collect them as quickly as they can. It didn't matter how many they collected, and they had to take them to the box. But the one thing that we did see, or we had to remind them, is to make sure they stayed on the mat because this game,
they were penalized for leaving the mat.
The reason was because this year it was driver control.
Yes.
So we don't know about next year whether it's going to be driver control or if it's going to be autonomous. Stay tuned for that. But
some simple rule changes.
But the mat will stay the same and the block placement will stay the same. Whether it's delivered back into the basket or into another spot, that might be some different rule changes. But just know that. Again, exclusive for Vex this year.
This year.
It might be
this last competition.
Yeah.
And because when we say this year, we talk in school year terms.
Yes.
So in our minds, this year is end of a school year, following into the next school year.
And so for the 24-25 season,
for all of you that live in the real world, it does not count that way. But what we mean is, in this 23-24 season, like Oscar was saying, it was Vex exclusive 24-25.
It can be all the other robots.
Yes, we are going to welcome.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Spike and Vex IQ.
Yes,
and Spike and
EV3. So that's Moon Rock. If you guys want more information on that, we do have the rules at our website.
Everything's posted.
Yeah, RallyInTheValley.robotics.org. All the rules are posted there for all the games. But I think that in a nutshell, on the big games, that's it.
Those are the big ones. In case some of you are wondering, those of you that have been following us for a while, why didn't they mention obstacle course?
Oh, yeah.
The surprise game, the big game that people go and they have to be on the spot. The game that took us overtime.
Yeah, overtime
this,
at the event.
This season, this last season. Obstacle course is going to be taking a little hiatus, a little break. It will have a return.
Yes.
To be determined.
Right.
Because we are excited to announce
some other games that we're kind of putting into development right now, right?
Not today.
No.
Next video, if you guys tune in, you will hear the game that we're going to be introducing for the 24-25 season. It's an exciting game. The team and myself have really been working on figuring out how to make it the best possible game for nostalgia.
Nostalgia, yes.
As well as for our fans.
And longevity, too.
Of a very specific sport.
Right.
That's all I will give you.
Okay, yeah.
So, Oscar, I don't know if you want to talk anything else on it, or we leave them.
I think we'll leave it like that, but we'll just know that all the games that we create, we want to make sure that they're games that are going to last a few seasons to really get coaches to be able to really get more bang for their buck out of the mats.
Yes. Our goal is 3 years. Right. That is our goal.
Game.
Each game, each mat,
minimum.
We want to use a minimum of 3 years. It is a goal. Sometimes goals aren't achieved, but we really are trying to make that the goal, and that is the plan. Right? We want to be transparent about that, and we want to say, if you sign up to come to the event and you get these mats, we want to make them usable for as long as possible.
Right. We don't want them to be a one and done season.
Yeah. And you might have to make some additional purchases for some game mods, but it's very rare, and it'll be one of those things that it's just to level up the game for the kids to make it a little bit more challenging for them.
Which leads us to
our next thing.
Because once we start getting these games out, we will start having trainings, and orientations for our coaches and for our volunteers, but more so for our coaches, so they understand what these games are laid out, how they're laid out, and not only that, but the rules modifications too.
So our training and orientations the dates will be released in August.
Yes, and we're just trying to solidify our locations and our times, and making sure,
and if you know of a location in the greater Los Angeles area that you feel is a great fit for Rally in the Valley, let us know. Reach out. We are open to hosting it in different places throughout the valley to make more schools accessible to it, as we pride ourselves in being one of the most affordable robotics competitions out there.
One of the most affordables, and it comes because of like Fenton. Fenton helped us make it affordable because we were able to use their location, and they donated their location and their time. So
and with
anybody
that
out
being
there,
said, if you donate your location and you happen to be a school, you waive your fees.
You waive your fees.
We don't charge your school for participating. That is 10 teams, 30 students, free of charge to come to the event.
Yeah. So drop it in the comments. Let us know if your school's available to
hop on the website.
Yeah. To host.
Shoot us an email. We will find a way to contact us, and that takes us to our next thing. On our first video, we promoted this Find the Hidden Trophy.
Yes, and let me check this out.
Oscar's gonna look right now. We have to do a special shout out to one of our viewers.
Yeah, let me see right here. I got it at Jeanette Rios 4222 for catching it.
Jeanette Rios.
Yes. Yep, for catching it.
Woo! Little confetti hands.
Yeah, there we
Good
go.
job
Nice
on
job.
finding the trophy in the first video. Nobody has found the trophy in the second video yet.
Yeah, drop it in there.
Drop it in the comments and we will shout you out. And our third video is releasing on soon.
Yeah.
Already released. Because this came out.
Yeah.
We just haven't had anybody put in the comments yet.
Right. But going back to, just when we start going back to getting some people to help us out with our location, please feel free. This is how we get ourselves going. I mean, we've had in the past in universities. We're looking for anybody who's willing to host our location. Again, we are a nonprofit.
Yeah, it takes a village, man. What did we say at the first video of this? It is a community event.
Right, and if you know somewhere that's willing to host us, and we're willing to use the facilities.
A cool, safe warehouse.
We're willing, and then anybody out there who can help us get into a big location that accommodate students. Yeah. We had over 500 students, and we were almost at 800 people, give or take, in Fenton.
So we were at what, 12 schools, and already for next year we're almost at 18.
Yes,
I want to say.
Yes, we've already
had
people
that number
knocking
possibly growing.
People knocking the door. So if you guys know anybody out there in internet
Greater
land,
Los Angeles,
in the Greater Los Angeles area, we can use all the help. Just put in the comments. Reach out to us, or
we are based out of LA,
right?
So just know that anywhere in the valley, we're pretty open to going to.
And any sponsors out there want to help us out, we're always looking. So
thank you guys, and I think that rounds off our episode.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Yep. All right, guys.
Till
next time.
All right, we'll see you guys. Thank you.
Have a great one.